or next day delivery.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Start your job today at AutoZone.com. Restrictions apply.
Now at Lowe's, order any flooring like Stainmaster Pet Protect carpet starting at $185 per square foot. See in-store associate or product detail page for warranty information.
He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer. And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots.
Watch for the great block by Keith Byars on Pepper Johnson. Bam! Right there. Byars just failed.
He's Dayton's own Keith Byars. It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken on Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Welcome. You listen to the Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Phone number to call is 937-518-1410, 937-518-1410. I love hearing that Buckeye music in the background. It gets me fired up. Or you can hit me on Twitter also at KAB41 is my Twitter handle. What a weekend of football here in Ohio. I like when I come on here on Mondays and I talk about an undefeated Ohio Ohio weekend. When I'm talking about the big three in Ohio, the biggest one, of course, is my Ohio State Buckeyes, but then followed closely by the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns. And we had an undefeated 3-0 record. No offense to the Bowling Greens and the Akrons and the Miamis and, OUs, all the other great football in Cincinnati. Bearcats. There are a lot of great football, is played here, in Ohio, but I always talk mostly when I say the big three, I know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Buckeyes, the Bengals, and the Browns. And they all went undefeated. But before I get in that, something I want to talk about. Before I get in there, I got a lot to say about that. But also, guys, let's continue, Black Lives Matter. It's not a slogan. It's a movement right now. Coronavirus is still out there, believe it or not. I mean, I was out of town this weekend, still was masked up, and I was in Florida, so I definitely had to be almost double masked up down there. So let's continue to take care of one another and continue to do what we have to do to, stomp this out, and we're stomping out, continue to stomp out systematic racism in our society and our everyday life. We don't, no room for that. But also, I want to start with the top of the show. Sad news. Over the weekend, I wake up, pick up my paper this morning, and I saw the great Centerville High School, former football coach, Bob Gregg. He passed away at 88 years old. He had a long career, not just at Centerville, but at Jefferson, the Jefferson Broncos. He coached there for many years, as well. And I always brag about Ohio football when I'm around the country, in and out of town. And one of the things I brag about is the great coaches that we have here in Ohio on the high school and intermediate level. So it's not just once you get to your major university or your university, that's when you start to get good coaching. We have a lot of fine coaches here in the greater and all over Ohio, but specifically, the greater Dayton area. So your kid is playing, so myself and Justin Kenner, when we're out there on Friday nights calling high school football games, we compliment the coaches almost as much as we compliment, the players, because we know where that comes from. And, when coaches, are beacons of light for the young players, and they have someone to look up to, and they show that leadership, and it just carries over throughout the rest of your life, whether you play football or play another sport. You remember those values that you were taught along the way on the high school level and the intermediate level as well. And Bob Gregg was one of those coaches that a lot of guys were very well respected. Even the opponents, had to respect him because he demanded that, and the quality play and the character that his players, play with. I mean, just the list goes on and on. I don't want to get into too many name callings because I'm going to forget somebody. So all of them, but just to name a few, of course, I know he was just a youngster toward the end of his career. As A.J. Hall could play for him, Kurt Herbstreit, a couple of teammates of mine at Ohio State, Dave Morrows, Gary Alders, guys that played at Ohio State, many of them, and believe it or not, city commissioner Jeff Mims graduated from Jefferson, and Bob Gregg was his coach. So he's touched a lot of lives in a lot of different areas, and Bob Gregg will be remembered, going down as one of the greatest coaches, here in the greater Dayton area and in all of Ohio. So it takes a hands off. Just want to take a moment of gratitude for all the good things that, he has done, throughout his life. One thing that my father always taught me as a kid, and he said, give people their flowers when they can smell them. And Bob Gregg got that along the way. So 88 years old, when he passed away, but he know how respected and loved he was, from the community, from each and everyone, involved. And so rest in peace, Bob Gregg, 88 years old, former Jefferson Broncos, Centerville, and a long resume. You can go online and read local newspaper and read all about his storied career. So with that being said, let's talk about some football. I'm going to save my Buckeye talk for a moment, simply, because I want to talk about that Cincinnati Bengals game yesterday. We know the Buckeyes took handle of business Saturday night. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about the business that the Cleveland Browns took care of Thursday night. But Cincinnati Bengals goes to the Baltimore Ravens, and they win. Not only do they win, they won impressively. In the NFL, you don't get any style points. All they want to know is, did you win or did you lose? But the Bengals won 41-17. But then they said, we're going to throw some style in there. Dominating performance out of the Cincinnati Bengals. That's what you really want to see happen, for the team that you're cheering for. I mean, and for all the Bengal fans, I know we catch a lot of flack on this radio station at different shows about that, show some Bengals some love, show some Bengals some love. Bengals, you deserve it. You earned it. And I'm just looking at the box score. 3-0 after the first quarter. Both teams in 13-10 at halftime. And then the Bengals went to overdrive the second half. 14 points in the third quarter, 14 points in the fourth quarter. Outscored them 28-7 in the second half. That's a team that's improving and getting stronger as the game goes on. And remember, I always talk about play on the NFL, play your season in 4-game increments. How did you do after the first 4 games? How you do after the next 4? I mean, the Bengals they are rolling. They are rolling. You still have to take things and keep them in perspective 1 week at a time. Don't get too ahead of yourself. And we're not, the Cincinnati Bengals are 5-2. This week after the game, hopefully they're 6-2. If you're a Bengal fan, I know I got a lot of buddies that are Bengals fans, so I'm gonna give them the love. But that's how you want to be performing. As a season progresses, I mean, I never really make Super Bowl predictions in August before the season starts. And when I do, I'm like, this is way too early. That's the beauty of the NFL. We don't know who's going to emerge, that soon, because in NFL, at all the major sports, is the only one that you can go from worst to first, and first, be last place, go to first place, and then first place, go to last place in a year. So that's why the intensity level is so high. People, it sounds cliche, any given Sunday, but it is any given Sunday, and it does matter. And because you're talking about the best of the best. And when your season's just not quite right, I mean, look at the Super Bowl champions from 2 years ago. Been the last 2 Super Bowls, those Chiefs from Kansas City. Who would have had them after 4 games? I mean, after 7 games being 3-4. Nobody would have had that. But that's where they are right now. They're not playing good football. Patrick Mahomes is a little banged up. But who had them 3-4 after 7 games? Nobody. After 7 games, in the preseason back in August, you may have had them at 6-2, 7-1, and maybe a few 7-0s, but not this. Not that, hey, it's not the end of the world. For the Kansas City Chiefs, they have time to turn it around, but 1 game at a time. And so what the Bengals have to do is keep things in perspective. Don't get, ahead of your skis. As they say, if you're one of them downhill skiers, you don't want to, lose your balance and slip and fall. But, man, the possibilities are out there. They got the Cincinnati, they got the New York Jets coming up next week. And 6-2, but how did you get to be 5-2? By doing all the little things and preparing, for this game. And the schedule is set up for them. I mean, last week they beat the Detroit Lions. This week they beat the Baltimore Ravens. This week they got the Jets. Out of the last 3 games, these are 2 trap games. So this is another trap game. This is a game that the Bengals are supposed to win. Just like 2 weeks ago when they played the Ravens, they were supposed to win that game. And they did. I mean, not the Ravens, the Detroit Lions. They didn't have to let up. They got that win. And prior to beating Detroit, another game they were supposed to win, they won Jacksonville. They beat Jacksonville. They beat the Lions. And now they have to win this Sunday. Is it a must win? No, but it is a must win when you start talking about playoff aspirations and where you want to win in your division and things of that nature. So they have to win this game. And if you're a Cincinnati Bengal fan, this is Shangri-La. This is Shangri-La. You got to have it. And guys, if you want the games to be meaningful come December, and next week it's November, you have to handle business in September and October. The Cincinnati Bengals are doing that right now. They have done that, and the NFL season, it's not a sprint, it is a marathon. And so you don't panic right now. And I'll see if the Bengals was the other way around. If they were 2-5, you're like, oh, same old Bengals. But they're not. They're 5-2. Nobody's talking about the draft and what players in college is looking good, who the Bengals got their eye on. You're keeping their eyes on the prize. Eyes on the prize, and when that's 1 week at a time. Remember all those things you do, sacrifices you make throughout the week, and your time management and your extra film study. When nobody's around to watch you do those things, that's how you prepare on Sunday to be a winner. And, because every Sunday, the New York Jets are going to give their best effort. They're going to give their best effort. But, it's funny. Jamar Chase, what a game yesterday. 8 catches for 200 yards. You don't see those numbers too often, a 200-yard receiver in the NFL. Those are rarely happens. So when they happen, you have to, be excited about it. But Jamar Chase now, remember, he didn't play football last year. And he's playing football this year. He opted out because of COVID his last year, college. Now, what concerns me, not really panicking, but because he hasn't played, and this isn't college where you're going to play, 12 games and hopefully you qualify for your conference championship. You win that 13th game, then you get a couple of weeks off, and then you play your 14th game, meaning the bowl game. No, this is the professional football. It's like a long grind. They get 1 bye week, and they have 17 games this year. And you hear about players hitting a rookie wall. That does happen. It is a thing. And I don't want that for Jamar Chase because this is his first rodeo. This is his first time through. It's through 7 games of his NFL career. We're all excited about him. But just like you're excited about Joe Burrow last year, I'm not trying to put no stink out there or no bad juju, but Joe Burrow's only played 10 games last year before he got injured. And it didn't look like he was about to hit the rookie wall, but he was getting better and better every week. And I don't want that for Jamar Chase. I'm not talking injuries or anything like that, but mentally, the mental fatigue of a long NFL season. So it's still early. Now, I just want to see him still, performing at a high level, physically and mentally come Thanksgiving into December, because that's a long, my rookie year. I know I referenced my career a lot because I played, but my rookie year, first game of my NFL career was against the Washington football team. The last game of the regular season, week 16, was Washington football team. And by the time I played them my first game, because we didn't have bye weeks back then, it was just a straight 16-week grind. And then when we played them the last game of the season, and that was a long season, we went 5-10-1 that year. I was like, man, it seemed like we played these guys last year. That seems so long ago. And it was only December, and we played them in September. But it was so much has happened over the course of, 16, 15 games leading up to the 16th game of the season. I was mentally whipped. I was like, wow, I've never done this before. This is different. This is, what I signed up for. Not that I wasn't excited about every game and was trying to be in the best shape, but it was such a mental grind. So that's something that, to watch for over the next couple of weeks, with Jamar Chase and how they use him and, how they prepare him for the long NFL season. Because you can talk about it, but until you go through it, it's a thing. It's a thing. But kudos for him. Joe Burrows, 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. That's what it's supposed to. That's what the fans. We always want that every week. But your Bengal fans, they know that's in you. And guess what? Instead of now, when you look at the schedule, say, "Oh man, we got the Ravens, we got Pittsburgh, we got that." Now your mindset changes. They got us. They got us. And the quicker you turn that mindset around, because in those other locker rooms, winning locker rooms, you're more concerned about what they're thinking about us because we know what we bring to the table. And you can just tell by the edge. You think Tampa Bay is worried about anybody on their schedule? No, they got to play to defend the Super Bowl champs. That's what it looks like, when you are that team. And I'm not crowning the Cincinnati Bengals after 7 games by no means, but I'm just giving them the information of what to expect and where you are. And right now, what if the Bengals won? Nothing. They haven't won no division. They haven't gotten a playoff spot. So, yes, you beat the Ravens, but guess what you're supposed to do? You're supposed to beat the Ravens. You're supposed to believe that. Hey, you go into expectation every game, we're supposed to win. Because if you go in there thinking, I don't know, you're already defeated. You're already defeated. So shout out to you Cincinnati Bengal fans. Hey, good win, great win yesterday, but it's only one win. Enjoy it. Hope you had a good time last night celebrating it. You can celebrate it up until film study today. So by 12:30, 1 o'clock, that game's in the rearview mirror if you're a Cincinnati Bengal player. And as a fan of the Bengals, we're going to let you celebrate till Tuesday. So enjoy Monday Night Football tonight, but come Tuesday, turn the page, get ready for those New York Jets that's coming to town on Sunday. That's how the NFL works, so you forget about that. Now let's go back to those Cleveland Browns. Hey, the Cleveland Browns in my knockout league, you got to choose one game, and I got 4 teams in a knockout, and I had the Denver Broncos beating the Cleveland Browns. Yes, I did. I'm not going to get on the show and say you otherwise. I had, the Browns were out Baker Mayfield. They're out without the top 2 running backs. I was like, well, it's going to be a tough win. I know they're at home, but they got Lyman out. Denver, they're both, got 3-3 records. They both, Denver is this different way how you got there. Denver won their first 3 games, and the Browns didn't. They 1-3. 2-3 at one point. The Browns were, they had lost their first game, but nevertheless, they both entered the game at 3-3. I said, come on, Denver. If you can't beat the Cleveland Browns with a backup quarterback, the third string running back, couple offensive linemen out, then you guys aren't that good anyway. You got your starting quarterback. But hey, now we talked about the Cincinnati Bengals defense. And that Bengals defense, they had Lamar Jackson very uncomfortable all night long. Well, you got to do the same for the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns was in Teddy Bridgewater's face all night long. They couldn't even hardly get a first down. They were 0 for 5 on third down at one point of the game. And the Browns, got a shout out to the running back coach, Stump Mitchell. How many running backs do the Cleveland Browns have that can play? Oh, my gosh. Dearness Johnson, career high, 22 carries, 146 yards, 1 touchdown, 6.6 yard average. Case Keenum just looked a whole lot better when he could turn around and ball off to Dearness Johnson. He, made his job a lot easier. And it was a great game plan by the Browns. They said, man, we are who we are. We are a running football team. We're going to play action and, take a shot here or there, but we are a running football team. And I talk about that every year in the summer. Who is your identity? Who are you? That's what you're trying to figure out. And then once the season gets here, you start to establish your identity. And the Browns established that. So when you look at when Baker Mayfield, whenever he gets healthy, or whoever the quarterback is for the Cleveland Browns, when the Browns quarterback throws for 300 plus yards, let that be the exception and not the rule. So you can't go by just straight stats when you're judging the Cleveland Browns quarterback. He has to, you judge the Cleveland Brown quarterbacks. How well do you make the pressure throws? Because we're going to keep you on your third down pass, and that's the stats you look at. Because the Browns are going to, when they're ahead of the chains, they're going to keep it in 3rd and 5 or less when they're playing good football. And your success rate on third down should be that much better. And it makes the lineman's job a lot easier when they know that they get to put a little extra weight in their hands and fire off and hit somebody in the mouth, as opposed to always on the heels, backpedaling them back, pass protection. And any lineman worth his salt will tell you, I block a whole lot better in the passing game when we're able to run the ball. When I could slow this defensive lineman down, when he just can't pull his ears back and go charging at the quarterback. He's got to respect the run. And so when you got a defense that has to respect the run, now that makes your offensive lineman better, makes your offense better, and it opens it up for everybody. And the Cleveland Browns are doing a tremendous job of that. They're 4-3. I mean, you look at their 3 losses, they could have went either way, but that's where they are. The Browns, they still got a good opportunity, not only to make the playoffs, but even to win a division. The division in the AFC North is not going to probably be decided until December. But you want to make sure you're in that equation now, so you don't look back on these games and be like, man, we woulda, shoulda, coulda. But they haven't done that. And the Cleveland Browns, banged up as they are, teams win championships, teams win divisions, teams win football games. And so the Cleveland Brown football team, they came out and took care of business on Thursday night. They got after Denver, smothered them. The crowd was into it. That's how it looks. That's how the intensity level that you got to bring every game. And remember, the NFL is not college. We only care about the W's and the L's, no style points. The Browns won 17-14. That's all that matters. Even though it was a total dominating performance by the defense, 75% of NFL games are decided by 7 points or less, on every given week. And this was a 3-pointer, but the Browns figured out a way to get it done. They won the running game and defense. And, as a fan, I love watching that. I don't have to see 30, 40 points on the scoreboard to say I saw a good game. So the Browns going to be tested, this Sunday. They got a lot to play for. They got the Steelers, rematch from last year in a playoff game. Now, I don't remember the last time. It's been a while since the Cleveland Browns have won 3 consecutive games against the Steelers, but that's what they're trying to do this Sunday. The last 3 meetings, they beat them 2 out of 3 last year. Specifically the last 2 times they played, including one of those in the playoffs. Good on the Cleveland Browns, but you have to bring that same intensity that you brought Thursday night against the Denver Broncos to the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're coming off a bye week, and they think they got some get back because y'all put them out of the playoffs. It's going to be a big game. It's going to be a big game, come Sunday. I'm going to be around my television watching that one as well. Thank God I have the NFL ticket. And so I can see, multiple screens at one time. That's how I'm able to follow all these football games. So we got the Bengals and the Jets at 1 o'clock, and the Steelers and the Browns at 1 o'clock. I got 2 eyes, so I can see two TV screens. Looking forward to seeing that. So I'm fired up about that. But now, before we go to break, I want to talk about the Ohio State Buckeyes. That's what you're supposed to do to Indiana. No disrespect to Indiana, but that's what you're supposed to do. You come out, you take the will to win away from Indiana early, and you beat them, early and often. You just pound them into submission. I know Indiana's first drive looked really good. I know the Buckeyes got the ball, just matriculated the ball down the field, scored 7-0. Indiana said, "Hey, not so fast. We're coming right back." Jack Tuttle played well, got hurt in a touchdown pass on Indiana's opening drive to tie the football game, and then that was it. Ohio State, I hate to see any quarterback get hurt. Indiana in there playing with 3 quarterbacks, but the Buckeyes put it in overdrive. It wouldn't have mattered who the quarterback was. There was no stopping that offense. And the defense looked the best they have all season long. You played against 3 different quarterbacks, but one of the reasons why you play against 3 different quarterbacks, you knocked out the starting quarterback, and now there was quarterback by committee. And don't want to emphasize too much. I hate to talk too much about injuries. When you knock someone out, that's somebody's son also, somebody's brother also. But the Buckeye offense, when you're in your film student and you're talking about, your game planning, what's going to work, what do we like, how are we going to get this guy involved? I mean, it was like Ryan Day and Coach Wilson, Kevin Wilson. Hey, you guys couldn't do no wrong. With everything you drew up, it was working. And on top of that, was even more impressive, you did it in a driving rain. That's why, I was in a discussion yesterday with some Florida boys yesterday, and we were talking about Big Ten SEC stuff. And I was like, when's the last time I seen Alabama play in the rain? When's the last time I seen Alabama play in a windstorm or being cold outside? Or not just Alabama, any SEC team. I said, but the Big Ten is built to last. We're all weather. Nobody was complaining about the conditions of the field, Saturday night. Oh, man, the ball was slippery. It was wet. It was a little windy. You just adapt. That's what football players do. You adapt. Football is – I hate domes. Throughout my career when I had to play inside domes, I'm like, can we get this game over with as quick as possible? I don't even want to be in here. Football is supposed to be played outside in the elements, whether it's sunny in 85 or cold in 25 or windy. That's football. That's the true guts and the grit of the game, and one of the reasons why we love it. And the Buckeyes did not complain about the rain. We just like, okay, so what is raining? I quote my high school football coach, Tom Montgomery, all the time when it comes to weather. He used to tell us it doesn't rain on the football field. It doesn't snow on the football field. The conditions are always right, perfect for a football player on the football field. And that's the way I play the game. I coach the game that way, and that's the way I believe it. Guys, it's the same on both sides of the sideline. Get it done. And the Buckeyes got it done. They got the opportunity to play 3 quarterbacks. C.J. Stroud, he's only a freshman, the only redshirt freshman, but he is getting better every week that we see him. Every week. I mean, I can't believe some of the stuff I heard the first 2-3 weeks of the season. He just doesn't look comfortable. He's this, he's that. I'm like, guys, get a guy a break. You're talking about a freshman quarterback who's now throwing his first pass, his career. And you expect him to be Justin Fields, Dwayne Haskins, J.T. Barrett, Miller, Braxton Miller. You expect all 4 of those quarterbacks to be him in one quarter, his first throw. Those guys had the opportunity to grow up. You have got to give him the opportunity to grow up. And we'll talk more about C.J. Stroud and Ohio State Buckeyes more after the break. They got a big game coming up, and yours truly will be there in the building, in the horseshoe, this Saturday night against the Penn State Nittany Lions. You listen to the Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. I'll see you on the other side.
It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hey, Buckeye fans, as the official wing sponsor of your Ohio State Buckeyes, Roosters is giving away 12 trips for two to this year's Buckeye Bowl game. Each trip comes complete with airfare, hotel, gift bag, and 2 tickets to the big game. One bowl prize winner will be chosen each week, along with other cool Roosters weekly prizes. So register every week at roosterswings.com. Roosters, a fun casual joint and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Official contest rules at roosterswings.com.
This is Roosevelt Chapman, the all-time leading scorer of the Dayton Flyers men's basketball. I'm a proud Daytonian, and I've got an important message today for men, especially you gents over 40. As a professional athlete, I focus on my numbers every day. How many points, how many rebounds, how many assists. Now I focus on my most important stats: blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, and PSA levels. In the end, those are the numbers that really count. So if you don't know your numbers, now is the time. See your doctor regularly to stay on top of your game, because no matter your age, every day and every number counts.
This message is brought to you by Molina Healthcare and Community Health Centers of Greater Dayton. If you do not have a primary health provider, call Community Health Centers of Greater Dayton at 937-461-6869 or visit communityhealthdayton.org.
College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byars here to tell you about OGW Energy Resources. If you own a home or a business and want to save money, then going solar with OGW Energy Resources is the way to go. OGW Energy Resources have been helping the Miami Valley save money by going solar for over 14 years. There is no better time than now to look into going solar. For more information, check out their website at ogwenergyresources.com. Go solar today. OGW Energy Resources. Your energy, your future. Control it. Hey, I'm College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byars, and I'm here with John Glazier from Glazier Softwater. Did you know we are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes?
Yes, I did. But did you know that Glazier Softwater is the home of the 7-year worry-free parts and labor warranty? We've been making water great since 1988. What were you doing in 1988?
That was my 3rd year in the NFL with the Philadelphia Eagles. I had 10 touchdowns that season, and we made the playoffs in 1988.
So you can say that we both have been doing great since 1988. Glazier Softwater. Glazier water is better water.
With Early Paycheck, you can get your direct deposit up to 2 days earlier. That's another reason banking with Capital One is the easiest decision ever. Even easier than deciding to open the biggest birthday gift first.
Happy birthday to you.
Which one are you going to open first?
The pony.
Yep, even easier than that. Plus, with no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, is banking with Capital One even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. No fees or minimums on new consumer accounts. Capital One and a member FDIC.
There used to be one kind of calculator, one that added, subtracted, multiplied, and divided. Now, on the Home Depot app, we have project calculators for everything. Tile calculators, countertop calculators, moving calculators, mulch calculators, air conditioning calculators, wallpaper calculators, grass seed calculators, installation calculators, decking calculators, paint calculators, drywall calculators, and fencing calculators to take the guesswork out of your home improvement projects. The Home Depot app. How doers get more done.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
So as you guys know, Mark's gone.
The float artist at Fred's Floral just took off, days before the parade. They need a replacement before business passes them by.
Oh, and who am I going to get to finish the float?
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. With Indeed Instant Match, we immediately show you quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed meet your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Staples Connect is a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore what's new at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER and ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzz driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says, "I'm a catch," more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer. And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots.
Watch for the great block by Keith Byars on Pepper Johnson. Bam! Right there. Byars just failed.
He's Dayton's own Keith Byars. It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken on Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Keith, I know you're about to get into your top 10.
College football top 10.
College football. But Mr. Know-It-All, I got to meet Mr. Know-It-All.
We finally got to put a face to the name. face to the name.
Exactly.
The voice.
So he messages in and says, "Boom.
There is no way on God's green earth that you don't have my Irish in the top 10.
That you don't have my Irish in the top 10.
Drinking on the job. He's accusing us of drinking
on
the
the
job.
job.
He hasn't even a secret top 10 unless you posted it online.
I have not posted it online.
He's just assuming you're going to disrespect that. He doesn't even
He
know.
must feel it coming. But it wouldn't be disrespect. It would be truthful. Like I always tell him, I deal in truth on this show. So according to me, who I'm way more knowledgeable than a lot of guys you see on television or read about in their articles and their top 10 for the college football this particular week. I only go to top 25 because if you're top 25, that's a greater accomplishment. But I stop at 10 simply because that gives you when you're in the top 10, that means you got a chance to make the college football playoffs. So as long as you're ranked at 12 to 15, 16, 20, that's good, but you're not going to the playoffs. You want to always be a ranked team. But these are my top 10 ranked teams. We can discuss it afterwards. So number 10, Notre Dame. I got to say it slow. Maybe Mr. Know-It-All didn't hear me. Notre Dame. Notre Dame is number 10 team in the college football. After 8 weeks of college football, Notre Dame is number 10. Number 9, a newbie to my list, Wake Forest Demon Deacons. And we're not talking basketball with Tim Duncan and Chris Paul. We're talking about their football team. Hey, they're 7-0. They just scored 70 points this past weekend against Army. They gave up 56. But nonetheless, Wake Forest, the number 9 team in the college football, according to Keith Byars, after 8 weeks of college football. Number 8, I know you were on a bye week, but you slid down on a bye week. That means you can slide back up with a big win this weekend against your opponent, and that's Sparty. Michigan State is now 8. They went from 5 to 8 because they didn't play, and they didn't get a chance to move up, and other guys outplayed them. That's okay. That's okay, Sparty. You're still 8. Got a big game this weekend. Number 7, Oregon. Those Ducks, they look really good against UCLA. UCLA had an early lead, but Oregon turned on the afterburners, and they looked very good on Saturday. So shout out to Oregon. Number 6, that team up north. Number 10, they struggled a little bit with Northwestern at halftime, but Michigan pulled away. So they're the number 6 team in the country. Number 5 team in the country, even though they're undefeated, man, they are pulling rabbits out of the hat and everything else. But they're the number 5 team in the country right now. That's Boomer Sooner. The Sooners are number 5. And who is number 4? The college football playoff started this week. Who would that be? It'll be the Crimson Tide of Alabama. Alabama had a nice win over Tennessee. I was kept on waiting for the Alabama relays to break out, and took a minute. But they let Tennessee hang around for a little while, but then they pulled away at the end. So Alabama is the number 4 rated team according to Keith Byars. Number 3, who would that be? The Ohio State University. We just finished talking about what they did to the Indiana Hoosiers. Great win by the Buckeyes. The offense is unstoppable right now. They look very good. Trevion Henderson. So they're the number 3 team in the country. Number 2, bear down. Those Bearcats. Cincinnati. A lot of people don't understand it. Cincinnati only beat Navy, but I'm like, they're playing against grown men. These guys, they don't care what the score is. They're going to play you hard. These guys have already been to boot camp. And so that's why a lot of people don't like to schedule the military academies. It's not, even though you may win the game, it's not going to be easy out, but I'm not going to knock Cincinnati for that. So they're the number 2 team in the country, and the number 1 team will remain the same. I know they had a bye week too. They didn't slide down like you said. Why you penalize them like you did Michigan State? Well, they got enough body work out there. So Georgia Bulldogs, you're still number 1 team in the country right now. So to recap it real quick, number 10, Notre Dame. Number 9, Wake Forest. Number 8, Michigan State. 7, Oregon. 6, Michigan. 5, Oklahoma. 4, Alabama. 3, the Ohio State University. 2, Cincinnati. Number 1, Georgia. But it's only after 8 weeks, guys. We got a lot of football to play. This weekend is going to determine a lot of things. Wait till next Monday when I come in here and talk about this. I guarantee you my top 10 will not be the same. Somebody's going to come up, somebody's going to go out, and there may be a reshuffling of the deck. I know it's not going to stay the same, because we have this weekend the Buckeyes, big game against Penn State. Penn State stepped into a trap this past weekend and even though they were at home, I'm sure they were looking forward to that Buckeye game. And wow, Illinois, 9 overtimes. I had to explain that rule to a few people this weekend. They was like, man, I said, it's a different kind of overtime rule. Still, the jury is out whether you like it, dislike it. Myself personally, I think that they need to wait for about 4 overtimes before they do that. But nonetheless, that's what it is. You got 60 minutes to get it done. And also another big game, before last weekend, I was going to say Ohio State, Penn State is going to be the biggest game this weekend in the Big Ten, but no, that's going to Michigan State. 2 undefeated teams. That's going to be a battle. That is going to be a battle. So that's going to be the highlight of the Big Ten season this weekend. Now, Ohio State and Penn State is always going to be a battle. And again, I'm expecting Penn State to give the Buckeyes everything they got. I think the Buckeyes are going to be tested outside by the wide receiver, by the defensive backs of Penn State. We feel good about our receivers against anybody, and I feel great about it. But they will be tested. Joey Porter Jr., he's a great corner for Penn State. They're going to battle. But we'll see how it all shakes out. But that Michigan State game, that's an in-state rivalry. Neither team likes each other. So that's going to be the game. That's the high noon game of the Big Ten. That's going to be something. So that's going to determine a lot how the Big Ten is going to go into the month of November. We're not going to get a Big Ten champion, no time soon. And this year, the Big Ten is proven to be the strongest conference, but that's still to be determined. We're trying to see, how they are. How will Iowa back bounce? They got a big game against Wisconsin this weekend. So it's going to be interesting. But like I said, this week I will be at the Penn State-Ohio State game. I have my on-field salute for the College Football Hall of Fame. So I'm excited about that. So, and it's going to be, what is it, a red out, a scarlet out? Something like that against Penn State. So they're going to be dressed in scarlet from head to toe. So I may have to wear me something a little scarlety, this weekend also for my on-field salute. So I'm looking forward. So Buckeyes, don't let me down. I need a victory. I need to think back on this Saturday night today. I will have my on-field salute with a Buckeye win. All right, so don't let me down. But I'm looking forward to it. It's got to be a great weekend this weekend in Ohio football. So the Bengals, no let down. Browns, you got to go get it. Go to whip up on Pittsburgh. Give them what they want. A big old whipping. But in the meantime, guys, I want to thank everyone for listening to the Keith Byars radio show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Get out and do random acts of kindness for your fellow man. And again, once again, shout out to the Gregg family. Prayers and condolences go out to your family too. Great coach. Until the next time, I will see you guys next Monday to talk about let's go another 3-0 weekend here in Ohio State football. 2 for the pro football teams and 1 for the Ohio State University against Penn State. Be safe this weekend also with Halloween coming up.
It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.